At 6:47 hours on November 3rd, 1944, Private First Class Michael Donovan positioned himself within the ruins of a decimated bakery in Metz, France. Through a jagged fissure in the masonry, he surveyed the landscape as German fortifications materialized from the lifting morning mist. Donovan was 22 years old. He had survived 6 months of combat and logged 14 confirmed kills. Yet, not once had he spotted an enemy sniper before the first shot was fired against him. The Germans had turned Metz into a fortress, boasting over 200 defensive strongpoints. As part of the 5th Infantry Division, Donovan's mandate was counter-sniper operations, locate and eliminate German marksmen before they could decimate American infantry. In theory, the objective was simple. In practice, it was a death sentence. The failure lay not in his rifle. The M1903 Springfield, equipped with a scope, remained lethal out to 800 yards. Nor was it his training. Donovan had graduated at the pinnacle of his sniper class at Fort Benning. The critical failure was that the German snipers always saw him first. The enemy utilized a tactical maneuver known as the double position. They would establish 2 firing points, separated by 30 to 50 yards. They would discharge a round from the first, then immediately relocate to the second before American forces could triangulate the source of the shot. By the time Donovan trained his sights on the initial muzzle flash, the German was already engaging from the secondary location. It was a matter of deadly mathematics. Donovan required 12 to 15 seconds to acquire a target through his optic, estimate range, compensate for windage, and fire. The German marksmen required the same duration, but they were already locked on, while Donovan was still scanning. Without exception, they fired first. By the beginning of November, the 5th Infantry Division had lost 23 snipers in Metz, 23 men trained to be the elite of their battalions, 23 funerals for men killed in identical fashion, struck down while searching for an enemy they never saw. Donovan's first partner was Corporal James Bradley, a farm boy from Nebraska capable of hitting a running rabbit at 200 yards. On October 18th, 1944, after 3 weeks of working together and securing 9 confirmed kills, their luck ran out. Bradley was scanning a factory building through his scope when a 7.92mm Mauser round struck him in the head. The shot originated from a window 400 yards away. Bradley was killed instantly. Donovan never even saw the shooter's position. The enemy had identified, targeted, and fired upon them before either American realized they were being hunted. Donovan's next partner was Private First Class Robert Chen, a San Francisco native with sharp eyes and steady hands. On October 29th, 8 days into their partnership, Chen was observing a German trench line. A shot rang out, striking him in the chest and puncturing his lung. Chen survived for 40 minutes, drowning in his own blood as medics fought a losing battle to save him. The shot had come from a concealed position in the rubble, 350 yards away on their flank. Donovan located the nest only after Chen was dead, but the German had long since vanished. The pattern remained brutally consistent. The American sniper establishes a position and scans for targets. The German sniper, already watching, fires first. The American dies. High Command continued to issue the same feudal directives. Stay mobile. Change positions. Utilize concealment. However, these orders failed to address the fundamental reality. By the moment an American sniper identified a target, the enemy had been tracking them for minutes, had already calculated the ballistics, and was already squeezing the trigger. Donovan analyzed the mechanics of these engagements. He realized that while he scrutinized German lines for muzzle flashes or movement through his optic, he was blind to his surroundings. He could not see if enemy marksmen were observing him from oblique angles. The optic itself was the liability. When peering through an 8-power magnification scope, a sniper's field of view collapses to a mere 8 degrees. One could see far, but not wide. It was akin to viewing the battlefield through a narrow cardboard tube. Everything outside that constricted cone was invisible. The Germans exploited this ruthlessly, firing not from the front, but from the flanks. By the time an American turned to check a new sector, he was already a target. Following Chen's death, Donovan spent 3 sleepless nights wrestling with the tactical dilemma. How does one detect a threat they are not looking at? How does a sniper watch his own back while scanning the front? How does one survive when the enemy always strikes first? The solution was found in his shaving kit, a standard military issue mirror, 4 by 6 inches. Donovan realized that by mounting this simple reflective surface to his rifle, he could grant himself peripheral vision while his eye remained on the scope. If angled correctly, a quick glance would reveal the terrain behind him without the need to move his head or compromise his concealment. The idea was absurd. It was completely unauthorized. Modifying precision weaponry without explicit approval was a court-martial offense. But Bradley was dead. Chen was dead. 23 American snipers were in the ground. Donovan refused to become number 24. Problem. On the night of November 2nd, Donovan worked in isolation. His unit had occupied the shell of a former hotel, now reduced to shattered walls and broken glass. The air thick with smoke and cordite. He located a secluded corner on the 3rd floor, placing his rifle on a table scavenged from broken furniture. The November air was freezing. His breath plumed in the weak beam of his flashlight. He retrieved the mirror, slightly scratched but functional, along with electrical tape salvaged from signal wire, a knife, and wire cutters. These were crude implements for precision work, but they were all he had. The rifle, an M1903 Springfield with an unertl 8-power scope, featured optics mounted 3 inches above the barrel. Donovan needed to attach the mirror so it was visible while aiming, yet unobtrusive to the rifle's operation. He experimented with angles and positions for 20 minutes until he found the optimal placement. Mounted on the left side of the scope, angled at 45 degrees, roughly 8 inches forward of his eye. From this vantage, a mere flick of the eye to the left would reveal his rear arc. His hands trembled as he began the installation, not from the cold, but from the knowledge that he was violating every stricture of the sniper manual. Defacing government property carried a minimum penalty of reassignment and a maximum of a dishonorable discharge. Yet, the image of Chen gasping for air, blood bubbling from his chest, overrode his fear of regulations. Chen had been looking forward when the shot came from the side. If he had seen that angle, he might still be breathing. Donovan patted the mirror frame with tape strips, then bound it tightly to the scope tube to withstand recoil. It was a frustrating process. The mirror slipped and clattered to the floor twice, his heart hammering at the noise, fearing an officer's investigation. Finally, after 40 minutes, the mirror held fast. He shouldered the rifle, aiming at a phantom target. A glance to the left revealed the doorway behind him. It worked. He secured it with 3 final layers of tape. It looked crude, obviously, not standard issue, but Donovan intended to keep the rifle cased until he was in the field. By 4:45 hours, he was finished. In 5 hours, he would deploy to the Industrial District, a sector where German snipers had claimed 3 Americans in the past week alone. At 6:47 hours on November 3rd, Donovan established his position in the destroyed bakery. The southern wall had been obliterated by artillery, leaving the interior exposed to the street. 400 yards away stood a factory complex held by German forces' ideal sniper terrain. Donovan's new partner was Private Sam Martinez, a 19-year-old Texan with 3 weeks of experience and sharp instincts. Martinez noted the mirror attached to Donovan's rifle and asked its purpose. Donovan's answer was singular: survival. Martinez pressed no further. They utilized the bakery's brick oven for cover, spotting through a narrow fissure. Martinez guarded the rear entrance against infantry, while Donovan settled behind his rifle. As the fog lifted, the factory complex emerged a labyrinth of broken windows and rubble piles concealing waiting German marksmen. Donovan pressed his eye to the scope, the 8-power magnification bringing the distant structure into clarity. He began his scan, looking for the telltale signs of an enemy hide. His scope offered a 50-foot field of view. Everything else was darkness. This tunnel vision was what had killed his previous partners. But today, Donovan had the mirror. As he scanned forward, the reflection in his periphery displayed the street behind him and the flanking ruins. It was not perfect, but he was no longer blind to his rear. At 7:23 hours, Donovan detected motion in the factory third floor, a damaged window frame. A dark shape shifted. It was undoubtedly human. A German soldier was methodically preparing a firing position. Donovan calculated the range at 410 yards. With calm winds, it was a textbook shot. He prepared to fire, but a flicker of movement in the mirror arrested his attention. Behind him, across the street, in a building he had previously cleared, something stirred. Maintaining his aim on the factory, Donovan shifted his focus to the reflection. In a third-floor window to his rear, he saw it. A German sniper. The reflection revealed the glint of a scope and the barrel of a rifle aimed directly at Donovan's position. The enemy had likely been tracking him for minutes and was seconds away from firing. This was the exact scenario that had killed Bradley. But this time, Donovan saw the threat. Without moving his head or betraying his awareness, he whispered to Martinez, "German sniper, building behind us. Third floor, left window. He is aiming at us right now." Martinez moved with agonizing slowness, bringing his M1 Garand to bear on the building to their rear. He located the window and the enemy silhouette. "I see him," Martinez whispered. Donovan issued the command, "On my count, I take the factory. You take the one behind us. 3, 2, 1. Donovan's Springfield cracked, sending a round 410 yards into the factory. The German target jerked backward, struck in the chest, and vanished. Simultaneously, Martinez fired. The 30-06 round from his Garand punched through the window frame behind them, and the flanking German sniper slumped forward, dead. 2 shots, 2 kills, 5 seconds. Donovan cycled the bolt, ejecting the spent casing, and scanned again. The mirror was clear. Martinez, breathless with adrenaline, asked, "That German had you dead. How did you see him?" Donovan pointed to the mirror. Martinez stared at the crude device for a long moment before speaking. "You need to put that on every sniper rifle in the battalion." The engagement lasted 4 hours. By the end, Donovan's team had eliminated 6 German snipers, 4 by Donovan's hand, 2 by Martinez. Every encounter followed the same methodology. Donovan would acquire a target, check the mirror, and frequently identify a flanking threat. 3 times that morning, the mirror revealed Germans attempting to ambush them from blind spots. The coordination was flawless, providing them with 360-degree situational awareness. By that afternoon, word of their survival had permeated the sniper platoons. Other teams, desperate to understand how Donovan had taken 6 kills with 0 casualties, demanded answers. By evening, Donovan was installing a mirror on Sergeant Frank Wilson's rifle. Wilson, a hunter from Montana who had lost 2 partners in 3 weeks, watched the installation intently. When he tested the modification, he remarked that he should have conceived of it himself. When Wilson offered payment, Donovan refused, simply stating, "Just don't get killed." The innovation spread like wildfire. By November 8th, 9 rifles carried the modification. Snipers scavenged broken glass, polished metal, and vehicle chrome to fabricate their own mirrors. The impact was statistical and undeniable. In October, the battalion lost 2 snipers for every German killed. By mid-November, the ratio had inverted to 4-1 in favor of the Americans. On November 10th, Captain Robert Hayes, the battalion sniper platoon commander, conducted a routine inspection. Upon seeing the unauthorized device on Donovan's rifle, he demanded an explanation. Donovan braced for a court-martial, but Martinez intervened, explaining its efficacy. Hayes tested the mirror, understood its tactical value immediately, and issued a startling order. "By tomorrow morning, I want every sniper rifle in this battalion to have one." He assumed responsibility for the paperwork. The modification was now official. By November 12th, it was standard equipment for the battalion. German forces noticed the shift immediately. Intelligence reports cited unusual American behavior. Their snipers were reacting to threats they physically should not have been able to see. The Germans attempted to adapt, engaging from ranges of 600 to 800 yards, or attempting simultaneous swarm attacks. It was futile. The mirrors detected movement regardless of distance, and 2-man teams covered all angles. By late November, German snipers in Metz actively avoided engaging American teams. The tactical advantage had decisively shifted. Despite its success, the Army never officially sanctioned the device during the war. In January 1945, an evaluation team from Aberdeen Proving Ground arrived to assess the modification. They concluded it significantly enhanced survivability but recommended a standardized redesign, effectively claiming the innovation as their own. The reports they filed omitted the names of Donovan, Martinez, and Hayes. The official record would state that Army evaluators had solved the visibility problem. Donovan learned of the report in February but declined to file a complaint. He did not care for credit. He cared that his brothers were surviving. The war in Europe concluded on May 8th, 1945. Donovan finished with 47 confirmed kills, the mirror having saved his life on at least 6 distinct occasions. Martinez also survived, ending the war with 14 kills. He returned to Texas to become a police officer, keeping a photo of Donovan's rifle on his desk for 3 decades. Every November 3rd, he called Donovan to thank him for the invention that ensured his survival. Wilson, too, made it home to Montana. Donovan returned to Pennsylvania, working in a factory and raising a family, rarely speaking of the war. By the 1960s, the mirror modification was largely forgotten, overshadowed by advanced optics. The official history of sniper operations credited improved tactics, erasing Donovan's contribution through bureaucratic omission. It was not until 1987 that a military historian, stumbling upon references to improvised mirrors in 1944 maintenance logs, tracked down the story. He located Martinez, who recounted the entire saga, and subsequently found Donovan, then 67 years old. When asked why he invented it, Donovan simply cited the men who came home. The historian's 1989 article brought a small wave of recognition letters from surviving snipers and widows who finally understood how their loved ones had been protected. Captain Hayes reunited with Donovan in 1992, lamenting the lack of official recognition. But Donovan remained unmoved by the need for medals. Michael Donovan passed away on June 7, 2001. His obituary made no mention of the mirror that saved dozens of lives. However, at his funeral, 4 strangers, former snipers, stood to pay their respects. Today, a single M1000 903 Springfield with a crude taped mirror sits in the Infantry Museum at Fort Benning. It bears no name, labeled simply as a field modification. But it is the true legacy of a soldier who broke the rules to save his friends.